Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining every single day, giving your recitation. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandarika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and Gauranga. This is Harita from Missouri City, Texas, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Harita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and chanting so nicely. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Shamaguri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shamagauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and chanting so nicely. Thank you for all the services, Mataji. Welcome to the call.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karnadevi Dasi from Mumbai.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karuna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and all glories to your wonderful services, Mataji. Welcome to the call.
All glories to your wonderful services, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Anita Ramya from Shakti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every single day, all the calls and giving your recitation. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for inspiring Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Anybody would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead. We have a couple more minutes. Once Prabhuji is joined, we'll start the recording.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam to you, Dhanvat Pranam to all the devotees, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembled.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a recitation. Welcome to the call. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Balaram Shakti Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 10th chapter, 50th verse. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. I now hand over the call to you, Prabhu. Are you available, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandatnam. Yes, Mataji, I am there.
Yeah, we can't see you, Prabhuji.
What, Mataji?
We can't see you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. We can see you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Over to you, Prabhu. Please
Hare.
take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Just give me a second.
Prabhu, before you start, there are some extra boxes appearing on the screen. 2 boxes. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share from Srimad Bhagavatam today. So we are discussing from the 10th chapter, the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. 50th verse, Prahlad Maharaj has offered his prayers, and uh, you know, Narsimhadev has offered benedictions to Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj has declined them. Then Narsimhadev has left, and we are discussing the section where Narada Muni, understanding that Yudhishthir Maharaj he was feeling very embarrassed that, he was not such a great devotee. But Prahlad Maharaj was such a great devotee that the Supreme Lord himself had come, had taken a special avatara to just please him and protect him. So he was feeling that he was not a very good devotee, and he was feeling embarrassed. And in response to it, he's speaking these verses. Let's read today's verse. Okay. Nayasya sakshad bhava padmajadibi रूपम धिया वस्तुतयोपवर्णितम् मौनेन भक्त्योपशमनेन पूजितः प्रसीदतामेष ससात्वतां पतिः. Exalted persons like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma could not properly describe the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So that's what he is, Yuyam Driloke Bataburi Baga Lokam Punana Munayo Biyanti. So, Yesham Grihan Avasatiti Sakshad Gudam Param Brahma Manushyalingam. Exalted persons, the great sages, they come to your house because Krishna, even without being invited, he comes and visits you, stays in your house. He does not visit Prahlad Maharaj's house. He does not stay there beyond that, but he stays there. But he stays in your house for such a long time. Okay. And exalted persons like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also cannot properly describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the truth about him. May the Lord, who is always worshipped as the protector of all devotees by great saints, who observes vows of silence, meditation, devotional service, and renunciation, may he be pleased with us, like that Narada Muni is offering his prayers to Krishna. Here, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the absolute truth is sought by different persons in different ways, yet he remains inconceivable. Nonetheless, devotees like the Pandavas, the Gopis, the cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan do not need to practice conventional processes of meditation to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he remains with them through thick and thin. He always remains with them through thick and thin. Therefore, a saint like Narada, understanding the difference between transcendentalists and pure devotees, always prays that the Lord will be pleased with him. Okay. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says. So in today's discussion, what I'm planning to do is that we are almost coming very close to completing this 10th chapter. So we will do a quick overview of this chapter. But I will, rather than focusing on the overview, I will focus on some key sub-themes from this 10th chapter. And we will have some discussion on that. Okay, that's what we will do now. Okay, let's start. So before we enter into the 10th chapter, in the 9th chapter, Prahlad Maharaj had offered his beautiful prayers. Then Narsimhadev, hearing the prayers, Narsimhadev is very pleased. So Narsimhadev gives up his anger. and he speaks to Prahlad Maharaj. He says, my dear Prahlad, I am very pleased with you. Whatever benediction you want, please ask for a cherished benediction. And actually, I'm full of all kinds of benedictions. Whatever benediction one can ask for, I can fulfill it. I can give liberation also. And so I can do that. So here it is mentioned that it should be understood that the jivas of whom Prahlad was thinking would be liberated at that time. But because of the infinite number of jivas, the universe would then become full of other jivas also. So even if Prahlad wanted liberation, that was possible. So then Narsingadev says, after getting my rare darshan, a person will not suffer again from unfulfilled desires. So anyways, you have attained my darshan. Anyone who attains my darshan will not have any unfulfilled desire anymore. Okay. So the wise devotees desiring highest benefit please me in all different rasas, for I am the master of all blessings. That is the highest benediction that one can aspire for, is to establish a relationship with me in one of the 5 rasas. So, but anyways, what benediction do you want? Any benediction you want, I'm willing to give you. So Srila Shukadeva Goswami says, in spite of being tempted in this way, Prahlad did not want any of those worldly allurements, as he was solely dedicated to the Lord. He did not want any worldly allurements. Then the 10th chapter starts. So Narada Muni, continuing this narration about Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Bhakti yogasya tat sarvam antarayataya arbakaha manyamano rishikesham smayamana uvachaha. Arbakaha, when that small boy Prahlad Maharaj, rishikesham tat sarvam, when he heard the various benedictions that Narsingadev was willing to offer to him, manyamanaha, he considered all those benedictions. Bhakti yogasya antarayataya. Antaraya means obstacles. Bhakti yogasya antarayataya manyamanaha. He said, if I ask for any of those benedictions, they could become impediments on the path of my devotional service. Therefore, smayamana uvachaha. Thus he smiled and spoke as follows. Okay. So Prahlad Maharaj smiled. So he thought, tempting an ignorant boy, the Lord is testing me. Like that he thought. So Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear Lord, I am already attached to enjoyment. I am fearful of material desires. And that's why I have taken shelter of you. So why do you want to tempt me? Don't tempt me by asking these kind of benedictions. Narsingadev asked, so do you mean I tempt my devotees and make sure that they fall down? Is that what I do? Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I didn't mean that. So how should we understand Prahlad Maharaj's response to Narsingadev? What does Prahlad Maharaj think of Narsingadev when he is asking for benediction? Does he think that the Supreme Lord wants to tempt me and make me fall down to such temptations? Is that what Prahlad Maharaj is thinking of Narsingadev? So when Narsingadev asks, oh, you mean to say I tempt my devotees and make them fall down? Prahlad Maharaj says, no. He says, just to show this world about the symptoms of your devotee, you have sent me to this material world. You want to show what is the position of my devotee. You want to show how your devotees are completely anyabilashita shunyam. So your intention is to show the quality of your devotee, how you want to show to this whole world how your devotee responds when you tell him, ask me for any benediction. Okay. You want to show the world that, look at what my devotee is going to ask. So you want to show that how your devotees reject all kinds of benedictions of this material world. Just to show to this world the superior position of your devotee. Okay. So why do you not accept the benedictions I offer? So you would force me. You would force me. Why? Accept anything. I am willing to offer you anything. And when the common people see this, they will understand the glories of your devotees. So in order to, so there cannot be any other reason. The person who desires benedictions is not your devotee, my dear Lord. He is just a merchant. Okay. So neither is what is the nature of a true servant? The nature of a true servant is that he does not want benedictions from his master. He just wants to serve. And a real master is not that person who gives benedictions to his servant to maintain his own position as a master. Okay. That is not the real master. So he says, I am your servant without any material desires. I have come to you to serve you, my dear Lord. I don't want anything in return. And it's not that you have me as your servant because you are dependent on my service. Neither are you dependent on my service, nor have I come to you for any material desires. Let our relationship not be like a material king and a servant. A material king is dependent on the service of his servant, and a servant definitely wants some material benedictions from his master. Let our relationship not be like that. So then Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, if at all you want to give me a desirable benediction, then please benedict me that material desires not grow within my heart. Let material desires not grow within my heart, because by the appearance of such desires, the functions of one's mind, senses, and intelligence get destroyed. Instead of those mind, intelligence, and senses being engaged in your service, they start getting engaged in the service of one's own, for one's own sense gratification. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishtana muchyate. They have become the residing places of lust. So if at all you want to give me any benediction, please benedict me that never ever I shall have any material desires in my heart. Then Prahlad Maharaj says, then Narsingadev asks Prahlad Maharaj, well, Prahlad, if you do not desire any benediction, then why do you want to serve me? Why do you want to be my servant? If you don't want any benedictions in return. So he says, when a human being gives up the desire for a relationship with you in his mind, he becomes eligible for merging with you. I do not desire merging. So basically what he is telling is, I don't want anything, but I want you. I want a relationship with you. But if someone neither desires any benediction of this material world, nor if he desires a relationship with you in the spiritual world, then such people desire the impersonal merging. I don't want any impersonal merging. I don't want any material desires either. What I really want is to establish a relationship with you. So therefore, I ask for the spiritual benediction of being your servant in Dasya Rasa. So oftentimes we hear that Prahlad Maharaj was in Shantarasa, Shantarasa. I honestly could not find any supporting statement for that. Actually, rather, whether in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or in Srimad Bhagavatam commentaries, I've oftentimes seen Prahlad Maharaj to be in Dasya Rasa and not Shantarasa. So he's an example of Dasya Rasa and not Shantarasa. Okay. So now, so he asks for this, and Narsingadev starts offering benedictions. So Narsingadev says, "Oh Prahlad, actually not only you, but all my devotees never desire any kind of material benediction." So he is telling to Prahlad Maharaj, oh, so this is what I wanted to show to this whole world. And this is not the nature of just you, Prahlad. This is the nature of all my devotees. Nonetheless, so even though you do not desire any material benedictions, but I am ordering you to enjoy the luxuries of the demons until the end of the Manvantara. Until this Manvantara gets over, enjoy the luxuries of the demons. And Prahlad Maharaj becomes sad. Why do you want to do this to me? He says, don't worry. I only for this manvantara, not longer. Don't become angry on me, please. I want you to, be here for one more manvantara before you come back to me. So Prahlad Maharaj says, because of what offense are you throwing me in this hole of material life? What did I do? What offense did I commit? Why are you allowing me to stay in this material world? So he says, don't worry. You will not be, you will not suffer here in this material world. Narsingadev says, Kata Madiya Jushamana Priyastvam Aveshya Mamatmani Santamekam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Adiyajnamisham Yajasva Yogena Cha Karma Hinvan. So he says, Jushamanaha. Yes, I am asking you to stay in this material world, but while you are staying in this material world, continuously hearing Kata Madiya, topics about me, Mamaveshya, and always being absorbed in me, Atmani in your mind, Tvam Yajasva, you just worship me. And who am I? Adiyajnamisham, I am the Lord of sacrifice. Ekam Bhuteshu Sarveshu Santam. Situated in all the beings, I am the Paramatma situated in all the beings. So worship me by Bhakti Yoga, while hearing topics about me, always absorbing your mind in me. Karma Hinvan, and give up Karma Yoga. Okay. So yes, I am asking you to stay in this material world, but don't worry. If you live in this material world while continuously engaging in hearing the topics about me, fixing your mind in me, worshipping me by Bhakti Yoga without mixing your worship by practices of Karma Yoga and Varnashrama, then you will not experience the pain of staying in this material world. Okay. So he's telling, give up all karmas, Vedic and secular, since the person qualified for bhakti should not do karmas. So this is the first sub-theme we will quickly discuss from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That karma should be rejected by devotees. Jnana karma dhyanavritam. In the beginning only Krishna says, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena krishnana shilanam bhaktiruttama. Bhakti should not be covered by karma, jnana, etc. So which means it should not be covered by varnashrama and other such things. So Srila Jiva Goswami presents this argument in his commentary in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says, I'm sorry. It has been established that bhakti should be without other desires. Anya bilashita shunyam, that is fine. It has also been shown that all humans, regardless of social position, are qualified for this type of bhakti. Yes, that is also true. Nrimatrasya adhikarita, he says, any human being is qualified. But isn't there a problem with this? Well, what is the problem? If all people who are qualified for bhakti start neglecting varnashram duties, then isn't it sinful? Okay. If all people who are qualified for bhakti start neglecting varnashram duties, isn't it sinful? If they do not perform their prescribed duties and they simply perform bhakti. So prescribed duties this refers to not the duties prescribed by the Bhakti Shastras, but duties prescribed by the Dharma Shastras. Okay, according to their Varna and Ashrama. So if they do not perform their Dharma Shastric prescribed duties and they simply perform bhakti, won't all people be engaging in sinful activity? That being the case, how can they become pure if they are sinful? Should they perform some kind of atonements? This question arises. Should they be performing some kind of atonements? If you say that bhakti should be jnana karma dhyanavritam, then if they don't perform their varnashram duties, then is that not sinful? So if that is sinful, should they perform some atonements? So Srila Rupa Goswami responding to this, he says, Ananushthanato dosho bhakti anganam prajayate. Na karmanam akaranad esha bhakti adhikarinam. Nishiddha acharato daivad prayaschittam tu na uchitam. Iti Vaishnava Shastranam Rahasyam Tadvidam Matam. He says, Esha Bhakti Adhikarinam. The person who is qualified for Bhakti, Doshaha Prajayate. He is at fault. When he is at fault, Bhakti Anganam Akaranad. If he fails to perform all the important angas of Bhakti, he is at fault. Na karmanam akaranad. But he is not at fault for failing to perform the duties of Varna and Ashrama. So this is Srila Rupa Goswami mentioning it in the qualifications of in the duties expected of a qualified practitioner of Vaidhi Bhakti, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Okay. So if he is at fault for failing to perform the duties of Bhakti, the essential limbs of devotion, but he is not at fault for failing to perform the duties of Varna and Ashrama, Daivat. If by chance, Nishiddha Acharato, if he happens to commit some sinful activity, Prayaschittam tu na uchitam. It is not, there is no atonement prescribed for him, which means atonement is not a prescribed duty for him. He should not be doing na uchitam, anuchit karma. Okay. Which means bhakti alone acts as the atonement. He need not perform any specific atonement because the sufferings of the devotees is not due to karma. Therefore, one should not perform any such kind of karma kandya atonements to rectify that mistake. Iti matam. This is the opinion. Vaishnava Shastranam Rahasyam Tadvidam. This is the opinion of those who know the secret of Vaishnava Shastras. Srila Jiva Goswami, commenting on this, he says, it is a fault if those qualified for bhakti fail to perform the required angas of bhakti, such as observance of Ekadashi or Janmashtami. It is not a fault if they do not perform the Varnashram activities. If they commit forbidden acts because of influence of previous Vaishnava aparad, then atonement is not required. Atonement Atonement does not mean repentance. There is a difference between repentance and atonement. Vaishnavas naturally repent. But atonement here means trying to rectify that mistake through karmakandya practices by adjusting the karma. That they don't do. Okay. Since these pure devotees do not have a natural tendency for sinful actions, bhakti alone acts as atonement. This is the conclusion of the Vaishnava scriptures. So then he clarifies by telling, there is no fault if a person does not perform all the 64 angas of bhakti, because at a given point, some limbs one may not be able to perform. It's fine. The essential angas are the first 20 and the last 5. The last 5 are chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, living in holy place, and deity worship. So these are the 5 most important limbs, and the first 20 are also very important non-negotiable limbs. One cannot avoid these kind of limbs, but the other limbs, if at some point they are not able to perform, it is still fine. Anyways, so this is something that we discussed because Narsingadev, while instructing Prahlad Maharaj, he says, you stay here and enjoy for one more Manvantara, but don't worry. While living in this material world, you continuously hear topics about me, engage only in bhakti, but do not engage in karma yoga. Like that he says. And for that, we discussed that because here it was mentioned, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned, give up all karmas, Vedic and secular. Since the person qualified for bhakti, he does not say need not do karmas. He says he should not do karmas. Varjit. Okay. Which means one should not do karma thinking that it is needed for me to progressing on the path of devotion, or it's a part of something which I am required to do. Okay. So now, continuing the recap of this chapter, then Narsingadev continues, Bhogena punyam, kushalena papam, kalevaram kala javena hitva, kirtim vishuddham suraloka geetam, vitayamam eshyasi mukta bandha. So he says that having given up bhogena punyam hitva, having given up piety by enjoyment. This is the for a normal person in this world, because his in according to his prarabdha karma, he has some piety which he dissolves by enjoying, and some sins which he dissolves by suffering. Or sometimes he may perform some kushala karma like prayaschitta and other such things by which he destroys the sins. Okay. Bhogena punyam hitva, kushalena papam hitva. So by performing such prayaschitta type activities or by suffering, one gives up the sin. Hitva kalevaram, and having given up the previous body, kala javena, by the passing of time, kirtim vishuddham vitaya, and having spread your pure glory, which is suraloka geetam, your glory is praised even in the swargaloka, mukta bandha, being already free of bondage, mameshasi, you will come to me. So basically, even though when literally taken at first sight, it may mean like Narsingadev is telling Prahlad Maharaj, oh Prahlad Maharaj, you still have your punya karma, so destroy the punya karma by enjoying, and destroy your papa karma by either suffering or by performing some prayaschitta, and gradually in this way you live your life, and eventually at the end of this life you will become free of bondage and you will come to me. This seems like that. But this kind of an explanation does not apply for devotees. What to speak of a perfected devotee like Prahlad Maharaj? So therefore, the explanation that is given here by the Acharyas is that in your previous life, you have already given up your pious actions and sinful actions by bhogena punyam kushalena papam, etc. Okay, therefore you are already free of bondage. Don't worry, you are a Jivan Mukta living in this world. At the end of this life, you will come back to me. That's how you should understand. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti commenting on this, he says to Prahlad Maharaj, do not be afraid of bondage by karma, by enjoyment. In your previous birth, all karmas were destroyed. By experience of enjoyment, the prarabdha punyas will be destroyed. This is not for devotees. For devotees, their enjoyment, neither is their enjoyment due to prarabdha karma, nor is their suffering due to papa prarabdha karma. Okay. That is directly given by Krishna, or it is a result of their own commission of offenses. By pious acts, prarabdha karma will be exhausted. Pious acts here refers to acts like prayaschitta. Giving up your previous body, you attain me now. You are already liberated from bondage in this life. You see, that is the meaning. You are a Jivan Mukta. So now, talking about Prahlad Maharaj, he says, it should be understood that Prahlad, like Narada and others, was partly Sadhana Siddha and partly Nitya Siddha. So what is the meaning of this? He is actually a Nitya Siddha, sometimes playing the role of a Sadhana Siddha for pastime purposes. So that's what he says. This means they are Nitya Siddhas, but they also take forms of sadhakas during pastimes. So Prahlad Maharaj, in his previous life, played the role of a sadhaka and attained Siddhi in this particular life. But the reality is that he is always a Nitya Siddha. Similarly, Narada Muni is also a Nitya Siddha, but he performed the pastime of becoming a maid servant son, and before that being Upabarhana and being cursed to become Shudra, and then eventually coming in touch with the Bhakti Vedantas and in their association perfecting his life. All that is actually, he's playing the role of a sadhana siddha, but actually he's a nitya siddha. Okay, like that. So Narsingadev further continues. He says, not only you are free of bondage, but others who remember you, they will also become free of bondage as well, gradually. Okay, gradually. So at this point of time, Prahlad Maharaj further speaks to Narasimhadev. Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, previously I had prayed at your lotus feet for the deliverance of all people suffering in this world. Okay. Now, if you have given such good fortune to me, then I pray that you free one more person who is a great sinner. Who is that? My father. Can you please deliver him also? Even if he is already purified by your glance, I pray out of humility to hear words of mercy from your mouth. Please purify my father. The Lord says, okay, Trisaptabir pita putaha pitribihi sahate anaga yat sado asya kule jato bhavan vai kula pavanaha. The Lord said, O sinless Prahlad, Pita te putaha, he says. Your father has been purified. He does not say delivered. Your father has been purified. Pitrabihi trisaptabis saha. Along with 21 forefathers in your family, your father has been purified. So he does not say delivered. Please note it carefully. I would want you to keep noting this point. Because oftentimes it is misunderstood that anyone becomes a devotee, then 21 generations up and down, everyone will become liberated. This is not correct. This is not the complete understanding. Okay, we are going to try to understand this. Okay, your father has been purified. He says Pita te putaha. But he does not say completely purified. He says purified. As a devotee sadho, you purify the family. Because you are born in this family, the entire dynasty has been purified. That's all he says. He does not say delivered or liberated. Kula pavana. Pavana again means purification. So the second sub-theme that we will discuss today is understanding the 21 generations benediction that Narasimhadev gives to Prahlad Maharaj. What exactly does he say and what do the acharyas comment on this? We will see this. Okay. So seeing the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti to this verse, see what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says. What to speak of your father being purified? He just says purified in this life. But 21 generations of his ancestors have been purified. He does not say liberated. How do you purify the forefathers? You, the devotee, have purified the fathers and mothers' lineage. So which means anyone who is a devotee, his forefathers get purified. And the purification is to the extent to which the devotee has become benefited by them. Okay. Let's say, for example, we were discussing day before yesterday in our Bhakti Sangha discussion also, that let's say if someone inherits an ancestral property, okay, so, and in which, different ancestors have, have a different share for that. And if the devotee utilizes that in the service to Krishna, then all those ancestors who have contributed to this devotee getting that ancestral property, they all get Agyata Sukriti and by that they get purified. That is the understanding. It's not that they get immediately liberated because this devotee himself, unless he reaches the stage of prema, he himself will not get liberated. Right? Like that. That is the understanding. Srila Prabhupada, how does Srila Prabhupada explain this? Let's read. Does he say liberated? He says, the word Trisaptabhihi means 7 multiplied by 3. In one's family, one can count back 4 or 5 generations to one's great-grandfather or even one's great-grandfather's father. But since the Lord mentions 21 forefathers, this indicates the benediction expands to other families also. Before the present family in which one has taken birth, one must have been born in other families. Thus, when a Vaishnava takes birth in a family, by the grace of the Lord, he purifies, Prabhupada says. He does not say liberate. he purifies not only that family, but also families of his previous births. Lokam punana, sorry, what is that? Viprad Vishadgunayutad Aravinda Nava Padaravinda Vimukat Swapacham Varishtam. Manye Tadarpitamana Vachane Hitartha. What is that? Manye Tadarpitamana Vachane Hitartha. Pranam Punati Sakulam. Not to Bodhimana. Prahlad Maharaj himself says, Sakulam Punati. He says, Punati means purify. Lokam Punati Sakulam. He purifies. He does not say liberated. Okay. What to speak of purifying a family? My devotees purify even their place of residence. That is pure. You are actually the best example of all the devotees. And anyone who follows you will naturally become my devotee. Like that, Narsingadev gives assurance to Prahlad Maharaj. Like that. Okay. Now, let's continue the recap. Okay. So this is one point which I wanted to touch on. Then Narsingadev tells Prahlad Maharaj something very interesting. He says, Kuru tvam pretya krityani pituhu putasya sarvashah madangas parshanenanga lokan yasyati suprajaha. He says, my dear child, Kuru tvam preta krityani, perform the funeral rites pituhu of your father Putasya sarvashah, even though he has completely been purified, mad angas parshanena, by the touch of my body he has already been purified, but still you perform funeral rites to him. Suprajaha, having the best son, yasyati lokan, he will achieve the best planets because he has attained a very qualified son like you, but you perform funeral rites to him. Now, the next theme that we are going to discuss, the third sub-theme that we are going to discuss today is that devotees and the Shraddha rites, the funeral rites. Okay. So oftentimes people say that, look, devotees should also perform all these kinds of Shraddha, Pindadan, and the Pitrupaksha pujas and all those things. Oftentimes people speak like that. And the example that they give is, the commonly quoted examples are three examples. One is Narsingadev himself instructed Prahlad Maharaj to perform funeral rites for Hiranyakashipu. This is one example that they give. The second example that is given is that Arjuna told to Krishna in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita that if I kill all these people, then all the Pindakriya and Udagakriya, all these funeral rites will be stopped and the ancestors will suffer. Okay. And the third example that is given is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself went to Gaya to perform the Shraddha ceremony to his father. So therefore, through these examples, oftentimes it is communicated that therefore devotees should also do all these things. So now let's take these three very same pastimes and see what exactly our acharyas comment about the duties for a devotee. Okay. Now, first, let's see what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about this particular verse where Narsingadev is instructing Prahlad Maharaj to perform this Shraddha ceremony. He says, since your father has been purified by the touch of my body, do not fear for his sins. Don't worry. But do the funeral rites. Why? Simply for maintaining custom. Not that you need to perform, but only to maintain the common custom. Because other people, you are the king. If you don't perform, the common people will stop performing. So that common custom should not be stopped. Therefore, you do. That is what he's telling here. Now, let's see what Srila Prabhupada comments about this particular verse. Srila Prabhupada in his purport says, in this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that although Hiranyakashipu was already purified, he had to take birth on a higher planetary system. He does not say liberation, higher planetary system, to become a devotee again. Prahlad Maharaj was advised to perform the ritualistic ceremony as a matter of etiquette. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under no circumstances wants to stop the regulative principles. In the common man, for the common man, they should not stop. But for devotees, they may perform out of a matter of etiquette. Then, in the next verse, continuing in the same theme, Narsingadev tells Prahlad Maharaj, Pitriyam cha sthanam atishta yata yatoktam brahmavadibihi mai aveshya manastata kuru karmani matparaha. O son, take charge of your father's kingdom as directed by the Brahmanas, fixing your mind upon me, dedicated to me, perform your duties. Kuru karmani, like I have asked you to perform your Shraddha ceremony and all that, perform that, but be dedicated to me. Don't become karma-para, become mat-para, and fix your mind upon me and not karma. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti commenting on this, he says, though you as my devotee are not supposed to do karmas. He does not say need not do. He says you are not supposed to do karmas. By my order, do karmas to maintain the custom. Because you are the king, other people will follow you. But be dedicated to me without faith in those karmas. By karmas, he is mentioning Shraddha ceremony and others. He says, you don't have faith in that. You have faith only in me. By thinking of me, even if you do not do the karmas, they are performed. Okay, so do not worry. Srila Prabhupada commenting on this purport, he says, when one becomes a devotee, he no longer has any duty to perform to the Vedic regulative principles. One has many duties to perform, but if one becomes fully devoted to the Lord, he no longer has any such obligations. Fully devoted here means performs Jnana Karmadi Anavrita Bhakti. Jnana Karmadi Anavrita Bhakti. So as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada quotes this, Devarishi Bhutaptaninam Pitrinam Nakinkaro Nayam Rinicharajan Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. One who has fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord is no longer a debtor to his forefathers, the great sages, human society, the common man, or any living entity. But Srila Prabhupada continues, the Supreme Personality of Godhead nonetheless advised Prahlad Maharaj to follow the regulative principles. Why? For since he was going to be the king, others would follow his example. Thus, Lord Nrsingadev advised Prahlad Maharaj to engage in his political duties so that people would become Lord's devotees for that purpose, for Loka Sangraha purpose. Because yadyadacharati sreshtas tattadevetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues that. Okay. So Prabhupada concludes this purport in a very beautiful way. He says, one should not be attached to any materialistic activities, but a devotee may perform such activities as an example to show the common man that one should not deviate from Vedic injunctions. So for the purpose of Loka Sangraha, to set the right example for others, one may practice, but one should themselves not have faith in those activities. A devotee need not do Shraddha ceremony to engage, to benefit his forefathers. His being a devotee in itself is the greatest benefit that one can perform to their forefathers. Now, the next example they quote is the example of Arjuna. Okay. The example of Arjuna. Okay. Because Arjuna himself, says in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna himself says, Sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya patanti pitaro hi esham lupta pindodaka kriya. Mixed caste in the family brings hell for those who have destroyed their family members. the forefathers fall down, being deprived of pinda and water offerings which are offered during the Shraddha. So oftentimes devotees quote this verse to say that, look, in the Bhagavad Gita, he mentioned, in the Bhagavad Gita, actually, what is his name? Arjuna has mentioned that one should not stop Pinda Kriya, Udaka Kriya, so devotees should also practice. So like that, devotees oftentimes say, but let's see what Srila Prabhupada talks about it in the purport. This is very important to understand the Acharya's Vani in this. Srila Prabhupada says, according to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities. These are rules and regulations of fruitive activities. There is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. So this is very good. Prabhupada says it's very important. This is a very important practice. But then Prabhupada says, such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition. And those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. Okay. So he says, those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. So it's not that devotees do not feel a sense of gratitude towards their forefathers, but they fulfill that gratitude by performing devotional service, and not necessarily these kind of individual, pinda, udaka, kriya, etc. And Prabhupada quotes this verse, Devarshi bhutaptananam pitranam, the same verse. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just like you nowadays you have, someone may pay through cash, someone may pay through, there is phone pay, like GPay in India, you have like Google Pay, like that. So if someone purchases an object and he pays cash to purchase that object, another person does not pay cash, but he pays by Google Pay. That does not mean that the person who is paying by Google Pay is trying to enjoy that object free of cost without any gratitude, expression of gratitude. Okay. No, he is paying it in a different way. That's all. He's not paying by cash. He's paying through phone pay, like GPay. Okay. So therefore, it's not that devotees do not feel a sense of gratitude towards their forefathers. They feel great gratitude, but they express that gratitude by sincerely practicing bhakti and offering the results, transcendental results for the pleasure of their forefathers. Okay. So the third example that they give is the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to perform Shraddha ceremony to his fathers. So therefore, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could do, then devotees should also do. So now, let us go to the section from Chaitanya Bhagavat, where this particular episode is described, and let's see what the Acharyas explain. What is the purport that the Acharyas explain to this particular act of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Gaya to perform the Shraddha ceremonies for his father. Okay. So this is the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Kanda, 17th chapter. Okay. In the very introduction to that chapter, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on this. Okay, that particular chapter is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Gaya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says, during the time when Sri Gaursundar was enjoying his pastimes in Navadvip as the crest jewel of teachers. So he still has not become a devotee. Okay. At that time, the philosophies of the atheists and the smartas were being quickly propagated. The smarta philosophy and the atheistic philosophy were being propagated. Even hearing the name of Bhakti Yoga was very rare. The sinful people went on unnecessarily criticizing the Vaishnavas. Considering that the proper time had arrived to manifest himself, Sri Gaur Sundar enacted the pastime of going to Gaya for performing worldly, fruitive rituals. Why? In order to refute the atheistic and smarta philosophies as well as to bewilder our persons. It was just for bewildering them, he performed it. And when at this stage, when he went, he had not yet embraced Vaishnava philosophy. He had not yet become a devotee. Okay. Further, he continues. Sri Mahaprabhu revealed to Ishwarapuri that the perfection of visiting Gaya is to meet pure devotees like Ishwarapuri. That was the purpose. He revealed to Sri Ishwarapuri that the perfection of visiting Gaya is to meet pure devotees like Ishwarapuri. That seeing Vaishnavas is matchlessly greater than worshipping and offering oblations to the forefathers at Gaya. For showing this, he went to Gaya, not to show to devotees that similarly every year you should also go to Gaya and offer oblations to your forefathers. That's not what he is trying to show. And that his purpose of traveling to Gaya was to permanently surrender at the lotus feet of a Mahabhagavat spiritual master. That was the purpose of his going to Gaya. Without disturbing the foolish, ill-motivated, fruitive workers who are bewildered by the three modes of material nature, to teach them, what does he want to teach them? That until one receives initiation into Krishna mantras from a bona fide spiritual master, he is eligible only for performing fruitive activities. Tavat karmani kurvita na nidvidyeta yavata matkata shravanadavva shraddha yavanna jayate. Till you accept the path of bhakti by accepting a spiritual master, till then you continue to perform your karma, fruitive materialistic activities, but not after that. And to simultaneously bewilder the atheists, Sri Gaur Sundar exhibited the pastimes of offering various oblations to the forefathers at Gaya according to worldly customs. This is not the custom of, not something which is mentioned for devotees. And again, in that particular verse where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to Gaya, in that 17th chapter, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur in his purport, he says, Gaur Sundar enacted the pastime of visiting Gaya in order to cheat and bewilder ordinary mundane people who are attached to fruitive activities and ignorant of the purport of the Vedas. This is the purport that the Acharyas are telling. He's not telling because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, all devotees should also do this. That is not the purport. Again, in 17.29 purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says, simply by undeviated worship of Lord Achyuta, the controller of all controllers, all one's debts are cleared. Those attached householders who lack faith in this statement assist their forefathers in again receiving gross bodies in this world by offering them oblations, imagining that they have become ghosts. So this whole, those who Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. Okay. Simply by undeviated worship to Lord Achyuta, all of one's debts are cleared. Those attached householders who do not have faith in this statement, they assist their forefathers by performing these kind of Shraddha Kriya, imagining that they have become ghosts. And by doing that, they get their next body. So further, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur writes, in order to deceive and bewilder the smartas who are attached to fruitive activities, Sri Gaur Sundar purified himself by taking bath and displayed the pastimes of offering oblations to his forefathers according to Karma Kanda injunctions in order to fulfill his debts to his forefathers. According to worldly customs mentioned in the Dharma Shastras, one should take bath in a river before entering a holy place. The Lord exhibited the pastime of following this injunction and then entered Gaya. Simply by undeviated worship of Lord Achyuta. Oh, sorry, this we have already seen. Anyways, so this is the point. So when here Narsingadev says, perform the Shraddha ceremony to your father just to fulfill the Loka Sangraha purpose. Otherwise, you don't have to do it. Just meditate on me. That's what he says. In this context, we discuss from the examples of Narsingadev and Prahlad Maharaj, Arjuna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Gaya. We saw what the Acharyas are explaining to these pastimes. Okay, so continuing the recap of this chapter. So Brahmaji then offers prayers, thanks. Narsingadev was coming and saving Prahlad Maharaj and all that. After hearing this, the Lord tells Brahmaji, all that is fine, but do not ever give such benedictions to such cruel demons in the future. It is very dangerous. Don't do this. Like that he mentioned. And then the Lord disappeared and Prahlad Maharaj was coronated and he worshipped all the Prajapatis, Brahma and Shiva. And in this way, this comes to the end of this episode of Prahlad Maharaj's life. But this whole episode of Prahlad Maharaj was narrated by Narada Muni just because, hearing about, because Yudhishthir Maharaj had asked about the partiality of the Supreme Lord. How is it that Shishupal actually criticized the Supreme Lord, but still became liberated? Okay. So in order to conclude that, so he's bringing this whole discussion to an end. He says, thus Jaya and Vijaya, who had become Diti's sons, thinking of the Lord as their enemy, were killed by the Lord. The question had been asked, how it was possible for Shishupal and Dantavakra to attain Sayujya or Mukti. Thus the story of their previous births was told. Now the story is concluded. So then Narada Muni says, in their next birth, they took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and they were killed by Lord Ram. Thus killed, they left their bodies thinking of Lord Ram. And when they left their body thinking of Lord Ram, in their next birth, taking birth as Shishupal and Dantavakra, they were killed by Krishna and they attained liberation. Okay. So now we will discuss this last sub-theme of this particular story is why Hiranyakashipu did not get liberated after being killed by Narsingadev. Okay. So, and Lord Ravana and Kumbhakarna did not get liberated after being killed by Lord Ramachandra. Okay. So, the explanation that is given from Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we will see from Bhakti Rasam Sindhu and from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. In Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, it is mentioned, of the 64 qualities mentioned of Krishna, one quality is Hatari Gatidayakatvam. So Gati in general means goal. But when Krishna gives that Gati, when he kills an enemy, Hata Ari, Ari means enemy. When he kills, he gives Mukti. Okay. Mukti Data Hatarinam Hatari Gatidayakaha. This is the definition he gives. He who gives liberation to those he kills is called giver of goal to those he kills. In talking about this, Srila Jiva Goswami, commenting in the purport, he says, qualities such as giving liberation to the enemy actually belong only to Krishna, since the ordinary forms of Narayana possess only ordinary qualities of awarding a goal to the enemy, a higher material goal, but not liberation. So therefore, when Narsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu or Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha, they did not attain liberation. They took birth again as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And when they were killed by Lord Ramachandra, they did not attain liberation. They again had to take birth again as Shishupal and Dantavakra. And when Shishupal and Dantavakra were killed by the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in the form of Krishna, they attained liberation. So now let's read the small explanation quickly. I will try to rush from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Okay. So in Lagu Bhagavatamrita, this comes in the first part, 5th chapter, where after describing all the avatars, Srila Rupa Goswami describes about the, Narasimha, Rama, and Krishna. They are called the Paravasta forms, the superior most forms. They are superior to all the other forms of Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, etc. So these Lord Ramachandra, Narasimha, and Lord Krishna are called as Paravasta forms. But suddenly, after describing this, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions that the form of Krishna is superior even to Narasimha and Rama, like that he says. At this point of time, Rupa Goswami himself raises this question. He says, but Narasimha and Rama are equal, right, to Krishna, according to what was previously said? You said that, they are equal. They are all called Paravasta forms. Therefore, how you are telling that Lord Krishna is superior? He says, let us refer to Vishnu Puran for an answer to this question. Okay. So he quotes from Vishnu Puran, where there is a conversation between Maitreya and Parashara Muni. So Maitreya and Parashara Muni, Maitreya asks the following question to Parashara Muni. He says, look, my dear, the soul taking bodies of Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, okay, on being killed by Vishnu, attained enjoyment, unattainable even by the Devatas. So he says that, look, the form, it is the same soul who took the form of Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and Shishupal. But Hiranyakashipu and Ravana were killed by the same personality, Narasimha and Rama. Same soul killed by same personality did not get liberation. They attained superior form of enjoyment, unattainable even to the Devatas. However, that very same soul, on being killed by Krishna, that is when he appeared as, when this soul appeared as Shishupal, they attained liberation. How is this possible? This was the question asked by Maitreya to Parashara Muni. What should Parashara Muni have told? Parashara Muni should have told that, look, this was Jaya and Vijaya. They were given the curse or benediction, whichever way you may want to see, that 3 births they will take. So because of 3 births, therefore, first time when they appeared as Hiranyakashipu, killed by Narasimhadev, they are not supposed to go back, right? So second time when they were killed by Lord Ramachandra, again they are not supposed to go back. And third time when they were killed by Krishna, 3 times over, that's why they went back. This is the ideal explanation that we would have given. But let's see what Parashara Muni says. Okay. So Parashara Muni says, Shri Parashara Uttaram, the answer given by Parashara Muni. So he says, in order to kill the king of the demons, the Lord, who is the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction of all the worlds, taking a body, showed the form of Narasimha. When he did so, when Hiranyakashipu saw the form of Narasimha, Hiranyakashipu did not think that this was Vishnu. But rather he thought this must be some special living entity who has got this form due to some extraordinary pious activities. Like that he thought. Okay, and his mind was overcome by Rajoguna. So when he was killed by Hiranyakashipu, he attained a wealth of enjoyment and he became Ravana. Okay. And how did he attain such an extraordinary birth as Ravana with so much opulence and all that? Only because of being killed by Narasimhadev's hands. Otherwise, he should have gone to hell. Okay. But he did not attain liberation. So here Srila Baldev Devbhushan commenting on this, he says, even though the Swarupa of the Lord is one, there is a different manifestation of qualities. Bahumurti Ekamurtikam. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. It is one Lord who manifests as Narasimha. Keshava only manifests as Narasimha. Keshavadrita Bhrigupati Rupa. Keshavadrita Meena Sharira. Keshavadrita Buddha Sharira. Jai Jagadisha Hare. It is one Lord only. So that is why Vaishnavism is, that there is only one Lord. It is not it is monotheistic, it is not polytheistic, even though we worship multiple forms, but we do understand that it is one personality only, right? So therefore, when the Lord manifests different personalities, he manifests only so much qualities that are needed for performance of pastimes in that particular form. So the Lord manifested the form of Narasimha in order to kill Hiranyakashipu. This means that situated in his own self, he manifested this other form, just as a Vaidurya gem manifests different colors. And what kind of form was this? He made an appearance in a form that was never seen before, the form of Narasimha. But then the question is, but why didn't the demon get liberation if he was killed by Narasimha, which is a form of Krishna only? Why didn't he get liberation? Okay. So he says, Vishnu attracts the mind of the meditator with the beauty of his form, name, and qualities. So Vishnu attracts the mind of the meditator with his form, name, and qualities. But because Hiranyakashipu did not recognize Vishnu, because the form of Narasimha did not manifest that much attractiveness. So he says, but because Hiranyakashipu did not recognize Vishnu, the Shakti of the Lord's attractiveness did not manifest in that form for bestowing liberation. So the form of Narasimha did not, while Krishna, when Krishna manifests the form of Narasimha, through that form, Krishna does not display all kinds of attractiveness which can attract, which can absorb the mind of the demon, and therefore by that absorption one becomes qualified for liberation. Therefore he did not achieve liberation. Okay. So because of being killed while thinking that Narasimha was a powerful living entity, so he just thought he must be some powerful living entity. Therefore he attained only enjoyment, which was rare even to the devatas. He did not attain liberation. So further, Srila Rupa Goswami says, since he did not accept Narasimha, so this is Maitreya speaking, Parashar speaking to Maitreya. Since he did not accept Narasimha as the supreme Brahman without beginning or end, he did not absorb his mind in him. Okay. So he says, Srila Baldev Devbhushan commenting on this, he says, one can absorb one's mind in an object either by accepting it as the most wonderful object or as the most detested object. Because Hiranyakashipu did not see Narasimha either way, he did not absorb his mind in Narasimha. By this absorption alone, one attains liberation, not merely by being killed. He did not make Narasimha the object of absorption, therefore. Okay. And further, Parashara Muni continues. When he was born as Ravana and was killed by the Lord in the form of Rama, at that time also he saw the form of Lord, but he did not recognize him as the Lord because he was absorbed in lust for Sita. Instead of having attraction for the Lord, he unfortunately thought of Lord Ramachandra also as a mere human being. Therefore, when he was killed by Lord Ram, he again attained extraordinary birth as Shishupal, which is considered with lot of opulence and all that. Okay. So Srila Baldev Devbhushan says, when Ravana was killed by Rama, who is Krishna himself, why did he not get liberation? Even the form of Rama that did not display the attractive power which is needed for generating liberation. That is the reality. Krishna, when he manifests as Lord Ramachandra, he does not manifest so much attractive power to generate liberation. So therefore Ravana, even when Krishna was, Lord Ramachandra was there, he was distracted by Mother Sita. So therefore he saw Lord Ramachandra only as the son of Dasharatha. Okay, like that. Thus, even when the Lord took the form of Rama, the Shakti of attractiveness which causes liberation was not evident. So therefore, even though his wife Mandodari told him that Rama was the supreme Lord, She told. And therefore he had that knowledge. But that was only shadow knowledge. Because and therefore he did not become absorbed in Lord Ram. Okay. Like that. So the author of the Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva, says that one attains a greater wealth than that of heavenly planets by seeing and being killed by the Lord, but while not being aware that he is the Lord. So both Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, they were killed by the Lord, but they did not, but because the Lord did not manifest so much attractiveness that even an enemy could see that he is a supreme personality of Godhead, therefore it did not generate that much absorption. Therefore, because they were killed by the Lord, they attained wealth which is unavailable even in the greatest of the heavenly planets, but they did not attain liberation. Okay. So the Smriti says, if one sees the Lord as a human, one gains heavenly planets. But if one sees him as the Lord, one attains liberation. Okay. For the devotees of Narasimha and Ramachandra, because of their devotion, they can easily see them as the Supreme Lord, so they attain liberation. But Krishna, when he manifests as Narasimha or Rama, he does not manifest so much attractiveness that even a demon and enemy can see them as the Supreme Lord. Rather, they can see them only as a very powerful human being. Therefore, they attain only heavenly position. Okay. So, here, Parashara Muni continues. The essential cause of all the names of the Lord lies in Krishna. Shishupal, having a mind absorbed in enmity to the Lord for continuous countless births, uttered the unlimited names of the Lord produced through his pastimes at that time. So, name, nama, and rupa. Moreover, Krishna's form with eyes like unfurled lotus petals and his beautiful form is described. Okay. That form did not leave the mind of Shishupal at all because it was so attractive. Because of his deep enmity, while he walked, while he ate, while he bathed, while he sat and slept, he could not but think of the form of the Lord. Okay. So he says, this section explains that because Shishupal's mind was absorbed in the form of Krishna, which constantly revealed his energy of attractiveness, which brings about liberation, he attained liberation when killed by Krishna. So it was because of that power. So attractiveness is of two types. One is attractiveness that is brought out due to the sweetness of the name and attractiveness due to sweetness of the form. Both are manifest in Krishna. Okay. So, therefore, so thus his mind became absorbed in Krishna out of hatred. As well, his mind became attracted by the sweetness of Krishna's form. That form did not leave Shishupal's mind, which was fixed in Krishna. So, to the extent that he was absorbed while he was walking, eating, bathing, sitting, sleeping, etc. Okay. So then, with that absorption, he started abusing Krishna by his names while simultaneously holding his form within his heart. Of course, in hatred. So when finally when he saw the Lord, and he killed Shishupal with his chakra. So when he was killed, he left his body with full absorption. So even though his utterance of Krishna's name and meditation on his form was done with hatred, he became free of fault. Aveshya tadagam hitva bahavas tadgatim gataha, as Narada Muni says. So he became, because of the power of absorption in Krishna, all the fault of that hatred was gone when he was killed. Then by the touch of the chakra, he saw the real form of the Lord and attained prema. Thus he realized Krishna. Okay. So killed quickly by the chakra of the Lord and having his piles of sin burned by the remembrance of the Lord, he was brought to the Lord and he enjoyed the embrace of the Lord. Okay. So he says, thus, even though Narasimha, Rama, and Krishna are non-different in Swarupa, Krishna is Swayam Rupa, endowed with all qualities which are fully manifested all the time. And this gives liberation. Shishupal was liberated by the attractiveness of Krishna because of his fully manifested qualities. Because Narasimha and Rama did not manifest all those qualities, they did not liberate him even though they killed him. Okay. So this is what he mentions. So now, at this point of time, Srila Rupa Goswami says that na uktam parasharena atra stitau tau parshadaviti kintu ubayostayor asit janmatrayam iti iritam. So now the same doubt that we may get. In the Vishnu Puran, Parashar does not mention that Jaya and Vijaya were associates of the Lord from Vaikuntha, but simply took 3 births to attain the Lord. So he could have told that, oh, they were either cursed or they had the benediction to to take 3 births. Because it was not 3, that's why they stayed. Parashar Muni could have given that explanation, but he did not give that explanation. Ataha, therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami continues. He concludes by telling, Sarveshu kalpeshu na tau parshada jau matau. Anyata na tayoho pataha pratikalpam samanjasaha. Thus, one should not think that in all the kalpas, the associates of the Lord fall from Vaikuntha and become Hiranyakashipu. If they were always associates, it would not be proper to have them fall in every day of Brahma, every kalpa. Okay. So, in the 3rd canto, it is explained that Jaya and Vijaya fell from Vaikuntha. And being killed by the hands of Krishna, they returned to Vaikuntha. So then, if this is the case, how then can this explanation of Parashara Muni be accepted? So this verse explains this. In the Vishnu Puran, Parashar says that the 2 took 3 births without mentioning that they were Vishnu Parshadas. Correct, na? So thus, he does not consider that in every kalpa, Jaya and Vijaya become demons in the material world. Why? It would not be proper to say that the eternal associates every day of Brahma keep falling from Vaikuntha and become demons. So what is the explanation? He says, the meaning is this. If one accepts that the Kalpavataras appear in every Kalpa, so Narasimha is a Kalpavatara, Lord Ramachandra is a Kalpavatara, Krishna is a Kalpavatara, they appear once every day of Brahma. And they fight with Jaya and Vijaya, who fall from Vaikuntha to perform fighting pastimes with the Lord. This would contradict the Lord's statements of affection for his devotee. Okay. And the statement that once one goes to Vaikuntha, one shall never return back. Thus, in every kalpa, the Lord performs fighting pastimes with real demons. Not that in every kalpa, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Shishupal and Dantavakra are actually Jaya and Vijaya. Their falling into the material world from Vaikuntha by the Lord's will alone is an occasional occurrence. It does not happen all the time. And then Srila Rupa Goswami, whatever was spoken in the form of prose by Parashara Muni, he explains it little more clearly in poetry, but we will not take this. But we have seen the conclusion. Okay. So therefore, to conclude, okay. Because Swayam Rupa Krishna has a full manifestation of his Shakti of attraction, Shishupal attained qualification for the Lord. That is the conclusion. Okay. Anyways. Okay. I'm sorry I went over time. Do we have some time for some questions? Do we have some time for questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pranam, Jai Shila Prabhupada. Thank you for your time, Prabhu. Thank you for coming on the call. Beautiful Katha, Prabhu. Yeah, very, very deep from all the scriptures you came. One thing I wish I can just, pray to Krishna every day. then pray to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, and then get some kind of association. Prabhu, there are hands raised, and also I see there are many questions in chat box. Prabhu, do you have some time, Prabhu? I think we are
I have
okay.
time.
Okay,
I
Prabhu.
have time.
So let's start with the hand raised. Let's start with Preeti Vilasni Mataji, please. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dano Pranam. I won't take more time.
Prabhu, I will mute. I will unmute them.
Oh, you will
So,
mute and unmute? Okay, Prabhu. Okay,
I'll mute and unmute. I'll take care.
Done, Prabhu. Done. Hari Bol.
Yes, ma'am.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Very nice to get your association on the call. Prabhuji, first of all, thank you so much for declaring very nicely that Prahlad Maharaj is not in Shantarasa, in one sense that though people quote, but there is no reference. Thank you for clarifying that. Second is, I also like the point that you emphasized, Narada Muni is a Nitya Siddha. At the same time, he takes on the role of a sadhaka, just like Prahlad Maharaj. And the third thing that was striking is 21 generations purified but not delivered. Thank you for pointing that out. It was a nice lesson that I learned today. But I have a question. What do we mean by purified? I mean, what really amounts to purification? Is it the fact that that person gets a chance to do bhakti, he goes to a better condition? What really is purification?
Yeah, purification means he gets Agyata Sukriti.
Agyat Sukriti for bhakti?
Yeah, Agyata Sukriti means for bhakti only.
Okay. And the other question I had is, why specifically it is mentioned that he goes to heavenly planet? I didn't understand that much. Because when Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu were killed, or Ravana, Kumbhakarna were killed, so is the destination for them really heavenly planets, or is it something like, I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah, it is not mentioned exactly as heavenly planets, but heavenly pleasures which are superior to even what was available for the heavenly denizens, like that.
And then when we read statements like first they were absorbed in the body of Krishna and then they were reinstated in their position, we also hear comments saying that there are two types of impersonal revelation. One is going to Brahmajyoti, the other is getting absorbed in the body of the Lord, and so on. So do you have any comments on that with respect to the destination of all the three pairs of Jaya Vijaya, which is Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha? Did they attain any of these and then have to wait till they got...
Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they did not, they remained in the material world. Ravana, Kumbhakarna remained in the material world till they took birth as Shishupal and Dantavakra. Shishupal and Dantavakra, after they being killed, they became reinstated as Jaya and Vijaya in Vaikuntha.
Okay.
And in fact, it is Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that Jaya and Vijaya did not even only some expansions of Jaya and Vijaya came, but Jaya and Vijaya, even while all these pastimes were happening, they were there in the spiritual world, because in the eighth canto, when Bali Maharaj's pastime is being described, when the Vishnu Parshadas come to arrest Bali Maharaj and fight with the demons, the Jaya and Vijaya's name are also mentioned. Nanda, Sunanda, and Prabala, Arhana, and all those things, along with those names of those associates of Krishna, Jaya and Vijaya was also mentioned. So quoting this, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti makes a point that actually Jaya and Vijaya, their expansions only came to perform on a particular day of Brahma, but they themselves stayed there to eternally serve Krishna. They were never deprived of that personal service to Lord Narayana in Vaikuntha, like that.
So it is the same Jaya Vijaya. It's not that somebody else was posted in their position. So it's the same person.
Yeah.
And the other question is, if you can just show us the slide where you had this written about the quoting from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, saying that it is not even an obligatory duty per se. You were highlighting that. Can you open that?
Oh, you mean the
Shraddha.
Shraddha?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, this one.
Vishwanath,
About Prahlad Maharaj, right?
I think that's how the verse. I mean, it was commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti.
Okay. So this is one slide where we have discussed. Is it in this slide?
Matter of etiquette. Okay. It was matter of
Okay, if it's
it's
okay.
duty.
Okay, this is another slide.
Though you, as my devotee, are not supposed to do karma. Okay. But in order to do karmas, to maintain the custom without faith in those karmas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not supposed to do. Yeah, not as a.
You're not supposed. It's not that you need not do.
Mm.
Okay. You are not supposed to do.
Okay. To maintain the custom. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question there. I don't know.
Yes,
This is stringing out of my mind just for some clarification. So when we talk about devotees, generally they say Vaishnavas, when we do Shraddha, we do it as a matter of duty, is what I thought, for pleasing Vishnu to carry out the tradition, and that's it. We don't have attachment to the karma per se, and we follow the Vaishnava customs. And with our mind fixed on Krishna, we just do it as a matter of custom. That's all. But I'm just asking a situation where there could be people who may not be really truly so unaffected by reversals. Like, for example, somebody has some problem and they try to fix it. I'm just giving random examples. Somebody has heard that one of their ancestors is not delivered, and they have to perform this as a matter of duty. Wouldn't they be performing it? Because see, if a person is extremely surrendered and doesn't get affected by anything, whoever is in their family, whether they are delivered, they are not delivered, or even if they have problems, they don't tie it back to maybe somebody is not pleased in my ancestral lineage. So somebody who's completely surrendered, who doesn't care for these customs, like Madhavendra Puri, for example, he would not even care to offer argya because he was like, yeah, I'm done with all these rituals. But for a practicing devotee who is getting affected by things in their life, suddenly if they stop also, nothing is, no reversals are to be expected. I mean, how do we understand that? Because the consciousness of the devotee is still budding, right? It's not like
yeah, it is budding.
Yeah.
It is budding, but that budding consciousness would be covered more if we think that rather than trying to please Krishna, if one has to individually keep doing this, it's not that we don't feel obligated for the forefathers.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So
not a sense of.
Good, Prabhu. Sorry.
But it is that how do you fulfill that obligation? A person who has karma shraddha fulfills it by performing these shraddha to give some material piety to their forefathers, whereas a devotee expresses that gratitude by sincerely practicing devotional service and giving spiritual credits to his forefathers. So where is the question of getting affected, not getting affected? Definitely a devotee may be attached to his forefathers, not that. So it's not because of detachment from his forefathers that he is not performing. It's because of understanding that, yes, I am attached, I want them to do well, and the best way of doing that is by watering the root.
Right,
with that mode,
Yeah, the Vaishnava kramas, like of doing the same Shraddha, like what we follow, the Vaishnava kramas are the same, right? We're only we are not really doing it in a karma kandik way. The same thing we are just offering. I don't know, because what I have seen is at least the Vaishnavas, they don't do it in terms of giving them piety, rather in just giving the credits of
Yeah,
spirituality.
see, there are some, of course, see, there are now two things. One is there are some Vaishnava traditions where karma is emphasized because that emphasis on karma is favorable for developing an attraction to Krishna, an attraction to the form of the Lord in a mood of awe and reverence. So therefore, if you see, the Madhva Sampradaya and the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they very much emphasize Trikala Sandhya Vandana and, performance of Shraddha and all those things that are very strictly emphasized because karma, is very much connected to the mood of awe and reverence for that purpose. But if you see in our Sampradaya, so we are not talking about Vaishnavas in general, but we are talking specifically about, Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So they don't even, in one sense, yes, there are the Dashavidha Samskaras for that matter are actually Karma Kandiya. They are actually, they fall within karma. They don't fall, that the Dashavidha Samskaras are not mandatory for devotees actually. So that's how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in his Bhakti Aloka and in other books. Okay. But there are some Vaishnava adaptations of that just because devotees are used to doing it. It is not needed. If a devotee leaves his body, okay, if the final rites are not performed to that devotee, what will happen to that devotee?
I don't know. It depends on Krishna's desire.
Krishna takes care.
Yeah.
Krishna takes care. When Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate, that does not mean provided they do your final rites. When Krishna says, Neha Vikramanashosti pratyavayana vidyate, that is not with the condition that provided your final rites are properly done by your children. This is not a conditional promise that Krishna gives.
That's true, Prabhu, but we are talking about our ancestors who have
ancestors, same thing. Okay, let me ask a small question, Mataji. If you, let's say you offend a person, okay, that person was never a devotee, okay, but later, if that person becomes a devotee, okay, what happens to you?
I should not offend a devotee anyways. I mean, anybody.
No. You should not offend any devotee, but you happen to offend someone, he was not a devotee, but when he becomes a devotee, what happens to you?
I don't know.
If he progresses, your devotion is affected because of the aparad. The more he progresses and becomes a greater and greater devotee, the effect of that aparad becomes deeper and deeper. Correct? That's our understanding. So now, if that person, okay, but let's say you did some great benevolent activity to that person. You helped him. You gave him money, you gave him inheritance and everything. Okay. And eventually he happened to become a devotee later. Okay. What happens to you? All of that charity immediately transforms into Sukriti, Agyata Sukriti. And the more that person progresses, the more is the baggage of that Sukriti that increases. So now see, this is the forefathers. If the forefathers have done lot of favorable activities to their, their sons, grandsons, etc., and if one of them happens to take up to devotional service, okay, the more they progress, whatever is the percentage of that Sukriti that has to go to the forefathers, it will go. And do you think with all that Sukriti, they will suffer anywhere in hell?
Mhm.
They will not.
Mm.
So, but because now, having said all of this, if you have a family where you are a devotee, not everyone is a devotee, or you are a devotee in this Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, others are, your family members are devotees in a Sri Vaishnava tradition, they practice all kinds of these things, we do accept it. So, yes, we may do it, we might as well do it. There is nothing wrong in doing it, but we
Mhm.
understand that the best benefit that I can give to this departed soul who has helped me in so many ways is that um, is if I sincerely practice my Krishna consciousness and offer my prayers to him, automatically he progresses like
Mm.
that.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu. I get this. I get the essence of this. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So,
Hare
yeah.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Sukhakar Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, such a wonderful class, Balaram Shakti Prabhu, because you revised the whole chapter from first verse. It is really a fantastic thing you have done for everybody. So fantastic. So I want to ask one thing. You're telling this. Actually, I'm an Iyer by birth, South Indian Iyer. So I was doing Pradha Sandhya, Madhyanigam, Sam Sandhya. But now I'm doing 3 Gayatri as per the Brahmanical and not doing all those things. So some people say you should do. Your father has put Punal for you. But when we are doing all these things, it is taking care of all those things which was ritualistic done, no? Or is it still have to do that also?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't remember anywhere in Srila Prabhupada's purport where he has mentioned that those things have to be done. No. Those are part of karma that need not be done. Yeah.
Now it is
And
bhakti.
our the 3 types, the 3 Gayatris that we do, the 3 times a day, that Gayatri is not
Karma.
That's not karma. That is our connection with the Supreme Lord. The 7 mantras that we chant, especially the last 6 mantras,
Yeah.
are our connection with our worshipable deities. It has nothing to do with our designation as a Brahmana.
Prabhu, one more thing I wanted to ask is, you told that Prahlad and the previous birth. But I heard in one of the Prabhupada's lecture, Prahlad and the previous lecture, the previous birth, he was having his girlfriend or something and they were fighting whole night. They were in a temple compromise and premises and they didn't sleep, they didn't eat because they fought. And that became actually Narasimha Chaturdashi. And because of that, he became as Prahlad. So is that way, is it
Yeah,
correct?
that
With
is, correct. That's why he is actually a Nitya Siddha, but sometimes to establish the nature of bhakti, the nature of performing the glories of performing a particular limb of devotional service, sometimes they act like that, they perform such pastimes, acting as if they are sadhana siddhas or sadhakas, like that. So he was, at some point, he was not a devotee. Incidentally, he fasted on Narasimha Chaturdashi. By that, he became a devotee. All of that is performed by Krishna orchestrates through these great personalities, such kind of pastimes,
it's a
so that one
pastime.
can understand it's just for just pastime purpose. That's all.
And you told that for Kusti, Krishna wanted to fight. So that the whole pastime came and the 4 Kumaras comes, they curse for three births and all. But you said it doesn't happen every time. Only once it happened. It doesn't. They don't have to
Once
keep
in a
on.
while it happens. Yeah, it's a
Once in
period.
a while.
It's an occasional thing. It's not an everyday thing.
But again, Krishna will never fight with anybody other than pure devotee. That's why you have to designate them to become as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. So then you said Krishna kills the demon. So Krishna is also killing who is not a pure devotee also. Krishna doesn't touch and he will not fight with
No,
anybody
not
else.
necessarily like that. Not everyone who were killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it's not that all of them were pure devotees like that.
So Krishna can touch also others who are non-devotees.
Yeah.
Anyway, this today's a lot of things you clarified the whole thing. The whole 21 generation. It need not be the same family, some other family also. The father's side, mother's side, it multiplies. So,
Yeah.
And as you said that if somebody has done some aparad, like Dhruva was there, he was not a devotee when he went, but when he came back, he became the devotee, and that impacted, she died by the snake bite. And like that, Sukriti also you said, if you have done something great to somebody, if they were not devotee, but just because they are in devotion life, everything will come as a very powerful thing against Sukriti.
Yeah.
So many good things. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Rumba santosham. Dandar pranam.
Dandat. Mother Gail.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, a couple of follow-ups. Just now, Subhakara Krishna Prabhu was saying that, because I've also had this confusion that, we do hear, right, that Krishna has his pastimes like only with, you have to be a pure devotee or something like that to be in Krishna's pastimes. Don't we hear like this?
Well, in the pastimes of exchange of love, but not necessarily in all kinds of other pastimes also. No, not necessarily at all. Bakasur, Agasur, they were not like pure devotees at all. It's not like they were pure devotees playing the role of this thing. Sometimes you do have some kind of mixed devotees who are not really inimical, but they become demons by curse. Okay. So such people also are killed by Krishna. They attain Sahyajya Mukti. But otherwise, if they were real devotees, then why would Krishna kill them and give them Sahyajya Mukti? Because Sahyajya Mukti is like a kind of real, great,
it's like hell.
Punishment. Yeah, it's like hell for devotees. Yeah.
Okay, and also when you were speaking with Priji Vilasani Mataji in this Agyata Sukriti, right? You define purification as Agyata Sukriti, but obviously that can only be for non-devotees. So when we talk about purification for devotees, that is more like what Anartana Vritti.
Yeah, they progress from wherever they are for serving a Vaishnava. Whatever you get for serving a Vaishnava, you get the result for that, right? If they are already devotees, okay, they would definitely not be sitting in Pitruloka because Krishna has promised they will get a human birth. Neha Vikramana Shasti, he said. So they will automatically have a human birth where they are practicing Krishna consciousness somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in general, this word purification, it's a little bit fuzzy sometimes. So in general, purification means making progress towards self-realization in whatever form that means. No?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, as you were saying, the, personalities like Nrsingadev, Ramchandra, you get killed by them and you don't end up liberated, just some higher thing, because those personalities, they don't manifest the degree of attractiveness that Krishna does. But I was just wondering.
Or I would say Krishna does not manifest that degree of attractiveness when he manifests as Nrsingadev or Lord Ramchandra.
Right. Okay. But still, I'm just wondering, is it not possible, even though he doesn't manifest that degree of attractiveness, to become so absorbed in hatred of him, just because he's not displaying that level of attractiveness, but the absorption, I would think, is possible out of hatred. But you're saying no.
But no. I mean, we are extrapolating based on our own material experiences. Okay. So, but the level of absorption that is needed to generate liberation, we cannot extrapolate. We should stop extrapolating because this is a totally different realm, which is beyond our, kind of extrapolation.
Okay. And just last thing, the appearance of Jai and Vijay in this world, it's, you said it's from time to time, but it's not at all predictable, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an occasional thing. Yeah. It's not like it's not periodic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Induleka Karuna Mataji. Sorry. Kirtida Sundari Mataji. I'm sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Most of my questions are already answered, Prabhu. And thank you for bringing so many points that we were not aware of. And today's class really helped a lot. Just one thing, Prabhu. Like you said about the devotees, that they need not perform the final rites, means the Shraddha ceremony. And I remember in one of the slide you mentioned those who are initiated in a bona fide sampradaya by a bona fide spiritual master. So is that the only category of being a devotee? Like you said that the devotees need not perform, means they are not obliged to perform these Shraddha ceremony. So what is the definition of that word devotee? Means at what
devotee
stage?
Means Adav Shraddha.
Oh, so that means
even before Bhajana Kriya.
Hmm.
Even before Bhajana Kriya, even before he starts chanting the holy name. When he develops faith in devotional service. That is how Srila Rupa Goswami defines a devotee. Before he even talks about the duties of a devotee, he defines who is a devotee. Devotee means Yadrichaya matkatato jata shraddostu yahpuman. Na nirvinno nati shakto bhakti yogosya siddhida. So he defines a devotee. Means one who has faith in devotional service. Adav Shraddha.
But even in the verse, if we see Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, even that verse, Rupa Goswami and of course Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini mentions that this Ado Shraddha is not the initial Shraddha that one possesses.
Then what is it?
Means it is a Pakka Shastriya Shraddha that one should have.
Yeah, we are talking about Shastriya Shraddha only.
So
we are
that
not
means
talking
if a
about
person who
sentimental
is
faith. Not Shastriya Shraddha does not necessarily is born out of knowledge of Shastras. Shastriya Shraddha means having faith in the Shastras. So that does not mean one should perfectly know the Shastras. Only that faith which is born out of perfect knowledge of Shastras, that is Shastriya Shraddha. No, that is not Shastriya. That is a more deeper form of Shastriya Shraddha. Shastriya Shraddha means faith that the Shastras are correct, these Bhakti Shastras are correct, these devotees are the best people to live with, this practice of Shravanam Kirtanam which they are following is the best. That level of faith, that is Adav Shraddha, that is what is called as Komala Shraddha. If you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he defines it as Komala Shraddha. He does not say Komala Shraddha, Madhyama Shraddha and Uttama Shraddha, he says. Yo bhavet Komala Shraddha sa kanishto nigadyate. Okay, so that Komala Shraddha also is a person who possesses that faith. Such a person can be defeated. He does not know much about the details of the Shastras, but he has faith in the Bhakti Shastras. That is Shastriya Shraddha.
So even that person is not obliged to perform.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. And another thing is, apart from Gaur Ganesh Desh Deepika, is there any other reference where it is mentioned that Jagai and Madai were Jaya and Vijay? Because in one of the session I heard that Prabhu was mentioning.
Definitely other than literatures which talk about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, you will not find that reference anywhere, because just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Channa avatar, his associates will also be Channa.
So should we understand in the right perspective that Jagai and Madai were Jaya and Vijay, or we should know?
Well, if our acharyas in their Gaur Ganodesha Deepika has been written by our own acharyas, if they say Jagai and Madai were Jay and Vijay, then we accept that Jay and Vijay. What other proof that we need?
Makes sense. And another thing you mentioned, Prabhuji, that Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, they're occasional. Their appearance is occasional. But Nrsingadev and Varadev, they come every...
Hiranyaksha and... No, I didn't say that. Hiranyaksha and Jaya and Vijaya appearing as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu is occasional.
Okay, so
Hiranyaksha
that...
and Hiranyakashipu, they periodically appear.
So that means some other
normal
living
demons.
entity takes the form of Hiranyaksha, and they are not always Jaya and Vijay.
Yeah.
Now, my last question, Prabhu. Now, Jaya and Vijay coming down from Vaikuntha should not be categorized as the fall down, right?
No.
Okay. It's just a matter because they got cursed.
Because you cannot fall down from Vaikuntha.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that point, Prabhu, that Jaya and Vijay's their expansions were Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur brings, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Vinita Gandharvika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. What a beautiful class, Prabhuji. You have cleared so many questions. Prabhu, I don't know if my question is wrong. Please forgive me if my question is wrong. But I was thinking about the pastime of Advaita Acharya performing Sharda ceremony. Can you please clarify that one too?
That was just, then we will have to go to that episode and see what the Acharyas say about Advaita Acharya. In my understanding, the real purpose for Advaita Acharya performing the Shraddha ceremony was to give that Shraddha Patra to Haridas Thakur.
To glorify a devotee. That was the main
intention. To glorify a devotee who was a Muslim by birth. He wanted to show that was the real purpose of, giving the Shraddha Patra to, of his... I don't know. We will have to see what the Acharyas explain. If they say that, because Srila Advaita Acharya performed it, so all the devotees should perform, we will do it like that. But there must be some purpose. And here we saw the example of the explanation given by why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to perform that. The explanations have been given by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like that. Yes. Sukakar Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, actually, this Jai Vijay came as Jagai Madai. It is Prabhupada told that Krishna called you, come, they say Prema Purushottama. He wanted to give them Krishna Prem, so they were called. That's what he has mentioned. And these notes are so good. Will you be able to leave us? Because they're really helping us to revise and take class. The all thing you showed.
Every time I share the notes, Prabhu, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji every time shares it in the group.
Okay.
You will get it in some time.
And I would request Shyamaguri Mataji to give you a class the end of the so that you're doing such a good summarization. It's really helpful. You've got such a deep studies. You've gone here, there, Vishwanath Thakur, Prabhupada, side by side. So I thank you so much. I followed your feet, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So fantastic.
Thank you. Hemangi Gopeshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My pranams to you. And forgive my ignorance. I tried to hear as attentively as possible. I did hear that you mentioned that a person who is doing bhakti yoga and is not able to do varnashram dharma, which I understood as he's not able to do varnashram dharma, then that is okay. Now, as a grasta, if I am not, sort of say neglecting is a little bit stronger word, neglecting my grasta activity and performing bhakti, is that acceptable for me?
Well, so here we have to understand how do you understand what is Varnashrama Dharma, what is Bhakti. So this is a very, very deep topic. And for those interested, I shall share some, some links where I have discussed this in detail. But because you have asked, I will describe it in brief. So what defines an activity as Varnashrama or Bhakti is the mode with which it is performed and the pramana which inspires that activity. Okay, these are the two things. Okay, so now taking care of one's family, is that a Varnashrama activity or is it an act of devotion? Right? So if someone performs it because it is given in the Dharma Shastras and purely because of their attachment and purely because it is given in the Dharma Shastra, this is the Stri Dharma, this is the Purusha Dharma, this is the Pitru Dharma, this is the Matru Dharma, like that, then that is a Varnashrama activity. But if one takes care of one's family members, thinking that, oh, they are primarily servants of Krishna who have been presented to me, who have been assigned to me by Krishna to take care of them. So if I take care of them, then I will be facilitating their coming closer to Krishna nicely. With that mode, if one takes care of the family, that taking care of the family becomes a secondary limb of devotional service. It's not a limb of Varnashrama. Okay. So therefore, if that becomes a secondary limb of bhakti, by neglecting that, you are actually neglecting bhakti. So therefore, it's not that devotees do not differentiate, and occupation. Is occupation Varnashrama Dharma or is it bhakti? Occupation is very much bhakti for devotees because definitely for engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord, to take care of a family in a Krishna conscious way, to give in charity to Vishnu and the devotees, you do need occupation to earn. And if that occupation is performed with a desire to support one's own practice of the primary limbs of devotion and in the practice of the primary limbs of devotion of one's family members and the greater society and the society of Vaishnavas, that practice of occupational duty is not a Varnashram Dharma. That is a limb of bhakti actually. That is a secondary limb of bhakti. That's why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are primary limbs and there are secondary limbs of bhakti. So the secondary limbs of bhakti means those activities in themselves are not devotional service, but if those activities are performed to support the primary limbs of devotional service, then they become the secondary limbs of devotional service. They should not be categorized as Varnashram activities. So when Krishna says sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, when he says give up all dharmas, what he means is give up the consideration of dharma adharma and practice activities in the mode of anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam. So any activity which is performed in the mode of anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam, whatever is anukul for bhakti I will do, whatever is pratikul for bhakti I will not do. Those activities are devotional activities. It may be taking care of one's family, it may be performing one's occupational duties, all of that. But if someone performs those same activities in the mode of because it is Tri Dharma, it is because it is Purusha Dharma, because it is my Pitru Dharma, therefore I will do, with those considerations, because they are mentioned in the Dharma Shastras like that, then that is Varnashram duties. The activities in themselves do not become Varnashrama or Bhakti. It is actually the mode with which that activity is performed, the pramana which inspires that activity, that categorizes a particular activity to be Bhakti or Varnashrama, like that. This is in brief to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very, very helpful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, there are so many questions in the chat box. Should we take or shall we end? I don't know.
Hare Krishna, completely
yes,
no time, Prabhuji. Yeah.
No time. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Yes.
No, I said, Prabhuji, it depends on your time.
Okay. Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, you said?
Yeah, Prabhuji, usually we close at 8 o'clock, but
Okay.
there are a lot of questions. If you want, you can take a couple more questions. And anyway, we cross the time until 8:30. We can do 10 more minutes if you can help other devotees.
In 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, whatever I can answer, I will quickly answer, Mataji. Okay. To extend devotees, does the devotion to that extend Lord bless to the forefathers? Purification. Yeah, definitely. Whatever devotion we do, it extends to the forefathers because they have they have given us inheritance, they have given us their love, affection, care, everything. Yes, definitely. What is the difference between great transcendental and pure devotee? I don't know the way in which devotees use these words. I don't know exactly if they use it in a different sense or not. What is the difference between being purified and being liberated? Being purified is a prerequisite to become liberated. But being purified in itself does not necessarily become liberated. It's just like if you want to score 100 marks in an exam, you have to study. But everyone who studies does not score 100 marks. So if you study sufficiently to score 100 marks, you will get. So if someone becomes purified, someone becomes completely purified, they attain liberation. But mere purification, little bit here and there, will not necessarily lead to purification. Okay. Another question. Okay. Ravana took the name of the Lord while dying. What was his destination then? He took birth again as Shishupal. Okay. It's not about chanting the holy names. It's about developing prema at the time of death and favorably remembering Krishna at the time of death. Okay. Another question. Demons get purified means how long they will be enjoying in higher planets. Additionally, will they attain Agyata Sukriti? Depends. We have to take it case to case basis. What kind of activities? If they had some appreciation for something connected to Krishna, something, then they will get some Agyata Sukriti. Will they perform bhakti in higher planets? Not necessarily. But if killed by Krishna, then yes. Avesha tadagam hitva. Then those inimical nature is taken away from them. Otherwise, the inimical nature also does not go. Kalanemi was, Kalanemi, and then he became Kamsa. And in all the births, he had inimical nature towards Krishna only. Okay. Okay. Is it Komala? Mother Gail wants, is it Komola? It's not Komola, it's Komala. Komala means soft. Soft, pliable faith is called as Komala Shraddha. Okay. 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 The links, the notes I'll be sharing it with Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, and she will be sharing it with all of you. Every time I share. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The soldiers of Kurukshetra battle who died before the Lord, what is their destination? Yam iha niriksha hatagata swarupam. It is mentioned that they attained liberation. So because they saw Krishna while they were dying, and the form of Krishna was so attractive, they attained liberation. That's what it is mentioned. Okay, so I think we should pause here. Thank you all very much for your patient listening. I really apologize for going over time. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much again for such a beautiful class. Many questions are answered today. We are really grateful to you, Prabhuji. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Balaram Shakti Prabhuji ki jai.
Radhe Radhe.